Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox. I would like to welcome you to the Sunday Book Review. The Sunday Book Review is the series where I discuss books which impact the compliance practitioner, the legal professional, and the business professional. I hope you will enjoy this episode. The Sunday Book Review is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network. First, a quick word from our sponsor. We conclude our famous Monster Month on Sunday Book Review by looking at some monsters that you probably hadn't thought of recently. The first is the Headless Horseman from The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, a Gothic story by Washington Irving. And it is the story of an American a Hessian soldier who's decapitated in battle by a cannonball and then terrorizes the countryside. Next up, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, a novel by Jules Verne. And it is a great story. Obviously, Captain Nemo is the star of the story. But here I'd like to focus on the animal monsters that endanger the ship, the Nautilus, the underwater submarine. And if you saw the movie, you'll recall the octopus that attacks the ship and how powerful that scene was. Our next offering is The Wizard of Oz. And you might not think of The Wizard of Oz as having monsters, but there are two that I want to bring to your attention. Of course, the Wicked Witch of the West, played by Margaret Hamilton, is perhaps the most known, but I'd also like to have a personal monster shout out to Nico, the head of the winged monkeys, which terrified me as a little kid. And every time I saw The Wizard of Oz, because when I was growing up, it was played every Sunday before Labor Day, the movie on Sunday evening. And those winged monkeys terrified me forever and probably traumatized me forever as well. And our final offering comes from Theogony. And Theogony is a poem by Hesiod about the origins, genealogies of the Greek gods. It's a large-scale verse talking about how the gods came to be created and established their control over the cosmos. And the reason I bring up the Greek gods is because, like humans, Greek gods can sometimes be good and they can sometimes be bad. And the difference can be often a very fine line. And how the gods treat humans and hubris is in many ways something that you as a compliance professional may need to consider hubris in your own compliance program, because generally it's thought of that 90% of the people in a corporation are going to do the right thing, either because that's the way they're wired or with your training. But there are going to be a few that you have to watch out for, and those are going to be the ones with hubris who think they can get away with it. I hope you've enjoyed this recitation of monsters this month. The Compliance Podcast Network was recently honored with some communicator awards for podcasts I know you will want to check out. Are you interested in Lyme disease? Well, check out Understanding Lyme Disease. And check out the Hill Country Podcast, where I look at the people, places, and things of the Texas Hill Country. Also, we have a new podcast series on the Compliance Podcast Network, which I know you will enjoy, The Corruption Files, where together with Hughes Hubbard partner Mike DeBernardis, we take a look at some of the most significant FCPA and international anti-corruption enforcement actions over the past 15 years. It's a great review and helps you understand how we got to where we are today in ABC compliance. And we actually have one more, which is the board's role in compliance, where I'm joined by my colleague Jonathan Mark, partner at Baker Tilly, where we look at the role of the board of directors in compliance, starting with the Caremark doctrine and carrying that forward, and answer questions on how a board can fulfill its obligations under a best practices compliance program. The Sunday Book Review is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.